Now students, we have written programs. Usually when we are writing our programs, we are following something called sequence, which means we write program instructions. Okay, the instructions are executed in the same order that they are written. Okay, now if you take an example, here our previous programs, if you take any program, for example if you take the variables program, this program will start to run from line number 1 here, then it'll line by line by line by line, it will start executing these codes up until it finishes all these instructions which are left inside that Python script. In that file, all the instructions till that reaches the end of the Python script, it will start executing all the instructions. There is no place you're going to make a jump. You will never jump from one place to another place. That is very obvious, right? So up to what we have learned is called sequence. With sequence, we don't actually make a jump. We execute programs in the same order that we have coded that. Excuse me. Right. The next one, what we're going to do is we're going to learn something called control flow statements. Okay, control flow statements. When it comes to control flow statements, the control flow statements can be of two types. One is conditional statements, and the other one is called repetitions. Conditional statements and repetitions. Actually, under conditional statements, I'm going to teach you how you can write if conditions. There are different types of if conditions that we're going to learn. I will show you the variations. And under repetitions, we're going to learn about the loops. We have while loop, do while loop, right? So different types of loops are there. We're going to learn that one as well. Right, so this is the basic idea or the structure of the control flow part. Okay, control flow part. First part we're going to cover this one, right? So we will be learning about the conditional statements, how to do that part in Python, right? Without further delay, let's get started with the code, since that is going to be our chapter 8, right? That's going to be my chapter 8. I'm going to create a file here. I will call that one as chap_8_ conditionals and py to mention it is as a Python file. So we have got the file here, and it's just a blank file. I need to put the codes there. I like to put the code in for you, right? Notes also. We're going to learn about the conditionals. To save some time, I can copy paste the notes. Right. So what does it say? Right. What it says is conditional. If and else statements we're going to write. I will explain this syntax part. Don't worry. Conditionals are used to decide to do something based on something being true or false. We're going to check for something. And if the condition is true, what we are checking for, is it true? If it is true, we're going to do something. Otherwise, we're not going to do. That is what the basic idea. We will take some examples and we will see that, right? In order to practice this one, we'll take two variables, x as 10 and y as 5. Y as 5, x is 10 and y is 5. And students, now we're going to learn something when you want to write the conditions. In our programs, if you want to have a variable like x, z, and let's say you want to know what is the multiplication of 13.65 multiplied by 85. If you want to find out the answer for this, actually if you take a look at this one, this is a numerical calculation or an arithmetic operation that we need to do. In this one 13.65 is a literal means it's a direct value. 85 is also a direct value. In between 85 and 13.65 what you have is a symbol, and if I use this particular symbol, you know what is happening. This value is getting added with this particular value, and if I type minus sign, you know what's going to happen. From 13.5 we are deducting 85. So that is what I wanted to tell you. Well, that is being said, these special symbols that I'm using are called operators, right? They are called operators. So if I add plus, minus, multiplication, division, all these things belongs to arithmetic operators. Arithmetic operators means calculations, right? Okay, just I wanted to explain you that is why I added that code. I'm not going to use that part. So I will write the comparison operators for you. Comparison operators. Comparing means you are comparing one value with another value. Comparing operators. Okay, so we have, these are the operators that we have. If you write two equal signs together, that is called equals to. Then you can have not equals to. You can have is greater than, is less than, is greater than or equals to, is greater than or equals to, as well as is less than or equals to. I will demonstrate this to you with programs and I will help you understand, don't worry. So that is those are the comparison operators that we have. Comparison operators are used to compare values. Okay, right? And you can say when you are writing again the conditionals, we don't use no curly braces. Okay, there is a reason why I'm adding this note here. We use only colon. You already saw this one in you already saw this one when I was teaching you functions. So the colon is what we use. Next to the condition. And the necessary code should be, and the relevant code should be indented. So I'm adding the nodes for you in the source code itself, so it will be useful by the time you are watching the video again. You don't have to refer to two places. That's the reason. Anyway, I will be giving the PDF file as well. Last week I couldn't give you the PDF file because all of you left early. Few people stayed. For them I gave. Then in the video editing class, people again asked for the notes. I again gave the files last week. Okay. So because 7:25 like people start to leave, then there's no way that I can give you the files. If you stay till the end, I can give you the files, right? Right, now we'll learn how you can use the simple, how to write a simple if condition, or how to write a simple if statement. When you hear the word in English, the normal word if stands for a condition, that after the word if, it demands you something for you to fulfill, or in other words, after the word if, what comes is normally a criteria. We have to fulfill that one. If that criteria is fulfilled, yes, then you can do something, otherwise you can do something else. So that is what we're going to code here. The code in how you write is, if you say x is greater than y, this is a if statement, simple if statement. So there you can see where I have put the colon, and automatically the code is indented. And if this case I'm going to say print then a formatted string I'm going to use, I will say x is greater than y. I'm just writing a comment there, and let's put a comment here. Output will come as 10 is greater than 5. this is the output going to come. So we can run this one and test it for ourselves itself. So let's run that one. I just saved it, Control S I pressed. When I make a modification, you can see there's a white color dot comes here, meaning this file has been modified but it has not got saved. If I press Control S here in the keyboard, see, this will disappear now. Now when I press Control S, that automatically disappears bit because it saves the document or saves the file. Right, now we have saved it. Let's give it a try and let's test this one. Right click, then I'm going to click Run Code, and you can see 10 is greater than 5. Actually, we have written a statement here for the if condition. Suppose this condition is true. If this condition is true, what comes after the keyword if should be a condition. You can build the condition using comparison operators like this. Because x is having a value 10 and y is having a value 5, 10 is greater than 5. This statement is true. After the colon, what we write is, suppose if this condition is true, what to execute is what we have written here. At this occasion, this if condition is true. This if condition is true. Here what we do is we print this value, right? So it's understood, I hope. Let's change this one. Let's make the value of y to 50. Now when I say value of y is 50, when you check this one, say x is having a value 10, y is having a value 50. If 10 is greater than 50, actually it is not true. 10 is not greater than 10, it is equivalent to 10. Sorry, it is less than 50. This statement is not true. This statement is not true. Then what we do is we're going to run this program. Now when I run, see whether you can see any output on the screen. You can see there is no output on the screen, right? So let's clear the output. Let's run. Did you see that? It's just running Python. Your file is executed. It has executed in this particular time period. It has finished the script executing it, and there had been no output. Let's change this value back. Let's change y to 5 and x to 10. So 10 is greater than 5 is true. Because that condition is true, it will print the value. This part will be printed, right? I have saved it. This time when I am executing, output is coming. So that is how an if condition operates. So that's how an if condition works. Apart from that, what I'm going to do is we will move on to the next part. Okay, I just demonstrated for you students. This time same x and y, we will give different values in order to explain you the matters. I'm doing it like that. I'll show you how to write an if with an else part. Sorry about that. Before doing that, let's put x, assign the value, we'll change the values 10, and y, assign the value 50. Same two variables, but here in line number 19 and 20, I'm giving different values. Let's put the if condition now. If x is greater than y, this condition is not true. It is not true. We're going to print in the screen. We say print. We'll put a f string, formatted string. We can write x is greater than y. Right, that's, I don't know whether it is true or false, right? Okay, let's go to the next line, and I'm going to come down here. Okay, I'm going to come down here and I'm going to type else. See, it automatically gets the indentation done properly. Else, we go to the next line. We say again write print. We can say again a formatted string. We'll say y is greater than y is greater than x, right? In this case we will see which part is printed on the screen. At this particular occasion, you can see this condition part is not true because x is having the value 10, y is having the value 50. Therefore when you check 10 is greater than y, if you say 10 is more than 50, this statement is not true. Anybody can understand that? Because this statement is not true, you will skip this particular section which belongs to the if condition if it is true. This statement, I have written just one statement indented there. This statement is skipped. It will not be done. Then otherwise, that's what this else part says. Otherwise, that means if this condition is not true, otherwise, else, again see that colon is there, print, again a formatted string we are using, y is greater than x. Now when we run this one, you should be able to see the difference. 10 is greater than 5, that is this part, students, that is this one. Don't worry about that. Look at only the last statement, this statement. You can see 50 is greater than 10, that is correct. And if you change this one, let's say 100, if you change that to 100 and if you execute, you will say 100 is greater than 50. It says 100 is greater than 50. That is how it works. Alright, okay. Let's change that back. Let's run that. There you go. 50 is greater than 10. Answer is correctly coming. So that is about the if part or if condition part, how it works, right? We will do another part there. We have to give the conditions, right? Let's see how we can use if, which means there's a thing called elif. Elif stands for else if. I'll tell you. Now in this option, just there are two numbers, so when you compare them each other, this can be true, this can be false. That is the only two possible combinations that you can think of here. Either that can be true, either it can not be true. Suppose the condition is true, you do this, otherwise you do this. That means with two alternatives, with two combinations, this entire program is done, it is finished, right? There can be programs or there can be an occasion where you want to go more than two options. In that case we can make use of these things, right? So I will explain you at the last part. I will explain you a very helpful program for you to easily understand rather than getting yourself very much confused. Okay, right, let's move on to a program like this. Let's take a variable called marks and we will store a value like 85. Based on the marks, I am interested in giving the student not just the grade pass and fail. If I am going to give the grades pass and fail, what will happen is, suppose the student gets a value or the value more than 50, all of them will be passed, less than 50 people will be failed. That is only two options that you have, either pass or fail. In this occasion, at this occasion, it is not like that. I am not going to just do pass or fail only. I am going to work on something else. Based on the grades, based on the marks, I am interested in giving grades. Let's assume anyone who scores above 80, they will get a distinction. Above 70, they will get a merit. Above 60, they are just pass. Anyone who gets less than 60, they are fail. For example, less than or equals to any value which is less than or equals to 59, that's a fail mark. Okay, we can code this one. In this particular program, if you check, you have 1 2 3 4 options. You have 4 alternatives in the same program. When you execute the program, based on the marks that you're going to input or the marks that you're going to give it to the computer program, it's going to decide whether to do this, this or this part. Since we have 4 combinations or 4 alternatives, we can easily use elif stuff, elif code, and we can do it. Let me show you the what do you call the syntax of that. So we write if space marks is greater than or equals to 80. In that case, we say print we'll just put a print value, grade is distinction. Okay, then you can't just write an else part like this, because whatever less than 80 is not just fail or any other grade. Therefore you have to write elif like this, and make sure you again write a condition. Else if is what is shortly written. Okay, elif, again write marks is greater than or equals to 70. In that case, we're going to say print grade is merit. Again we can write another elif part, elif marks is greater than or equals to 60. In that case, we can tell print grade is pass. Okay, finally you can write an else part. That means you check all the if conditions and elif, nothing became true. You can write the final else part, and you can say grade is fail. Okay, now if you take this program and if you closely observe, there are 4 print commands that I am using to print a distinction, merit, pass, as well as a fail. At a given time, when you execute this program, out of these 4 statements that you have given, only one statement can be executed, that is based on these conditions. Whichever the condition that is becoming true, that part will work, other parts will be skipped. So that is how it's going to work. I would like to explain this, I would like to execute this code and show you. Let's try. Previously these things also are working, but doesn't matter. You can see grade is distinction. Grade is distinction because the value of marks is 85. Value of marks is 85. I like to change the value of marks to something else now. Let's change that to 75. If you check now, if is a condition that we're going to check, marks, that is a variable, therefore it is representing the value 75 here. 75 is greater than or equals to 80. At the moment, marks is representing the actual value of 75. Therefore this condition cannot be true. If this condition part is not true, this particular statement cannot be done. The statement cannot be done. Because this statement cannot be done, you cannot skip everything. You check the other elif part. Elif, again I am repeating, it is a short form for else if. Short form for else if. Suppose if this is not true, what if this part is true? You check again and see. We are making sure the marks variable is having a value which is more than or equals to 70. Yeah. At this occasion, you can see marks variable is having the value 75. Literally speaking, 75 is greater than or equals to 75 is greater than or equals to 70. The statement that I have written now here in line number 32 is actually true. Because that statement is true, because that if condition is true, this particular line of code will be executed, grade is merit, and that's the end of that particular elif section. So I have written only one instruction for that, so it will do that instruction, and it will simply stop the work from continuing forward. That's how it will work. So therefore when I execute the program, you will start to see the results. So it's distinction, which is not correct actually. Grade is merit. Okay, so I changed this value. Now you can see grade is merit nicely coming. Let's change this to 95 or 85. When you run this one, you should get the distinction now, right? You can see grade is distinction, and if you change this to something like 64, and when you execute this program, you will get a pass. Grade is pass. I hope most of you can understand this, right? Most of you would have understood that, right? So that's about the if condition, and you have something called, and next part is called the nested if condition. Right, next part we're going to do is the next part we're going to do is I'll show you something called the nested if condition. Nested if condition means inside an if condition we can write another if condition. That is called a nested if condition, right? Let's say we want to display a message called best student also, right? Let's say marks should be more than 80, right? At the same time, let's say attendance also, if we have more than let's say 75% or 90% attendance also there, means we're going to select him as a best student, right? I'm going to continue the next part. I'm going to show you how you can work with the nested if conditions, right? Let's see how we can work with the nested if. Now we'll type, first of all, we have already values like x, y and everything, right? Before that, we'll take two different variables. One will say average marks is greater than the average marks, let's say it's 87.5, and we'll say attendance, that is again 93. Now you want to tell whether this student is passed or not, right? Let's say to the next grade, if AVG marks is greater than 65, then he is pass. Okay, and you want to make sure whether that student is also having a value. You can write like this. Okay, and you want to type another thing. You want to check whether it is having any he is having more attendance, right? So let's say if again you write if attendance is greater than 90, in that case we say print best student. Okay, then here if I go here and I don't want to put a elif else part there. I'm going to put a else part for this, and I'll tell print fail. Okay, so now this is what our lesson is. Inside an if condition, when that is true, we can put a output command. That's not only that, under the same if condition, now you can see we have the same indentation, same amount of space left to the right side. We again check for another condition, and we are making sure that condition is also true. In that case, we display best student as well. If a student is having good marks but not less, but if he or she is having less attendance, they will receive only pass. They will not get the value best student. If a student is having an average above 65, as well as if they are having an attendance over 90%, then they will be selected as best student as well. If any of these things not there, actually if the mark is less than 65, that is considered as a fail. Right now when I run this one, you will see the output. It says 87 is a pass. Best student also comes. Look at the last one only. And if I change this, let's change first of all, let's change 17.5. This is a fail now. That perfectly works. Let's change this to let's change the average marks to something like 91. Attendance, let's change that to 35. Now this time the student will be pass, but this best student part will not come. See, there you can see grade is pass, 91 is a pass. That's what it says. This part is only what is coming. Okay, so that's how it is working well, right? So those are the basic if conditions that we're going to use, right? That's the basic if conditions that we're going to use. So we'll use some more work and see. Right. The next part I'm going to show you is what if you want to check more than one condition at once. If you want to check more than one condition, so I'm going to teach you something called logical AND and logical OR, right? So we'll see how to do that part. Logical operators AND or not, right? These kind of things we can make use of this, right? If you take something like this, let's say we have two switches like this, A and B. It's a simple thing to understand, right? Actually, we have a set of batteries here, two batteries we have here, right? So here you can see there are two batteries in the circuit, and there is one bulb here. We all know that when the wires are properly connected, and if the circuit is complete, the electricity can flow through this one and the light will glow. Actually, what we're going to do is we have put two switches, and if you switch on this, right, if you can close this switch and if you close this also, now the electricity will flow through the circuit. Now the light bulb will glow. Now imagine one switch is turned on, other switch is not turned on. What happens is electricity can flow up to this point, but it cannot complete the circuit, therefore the light will not glow. This is the best example that we can understand when you want to check for something. If you want to do something, you want to make sure both conditions are met, both criteria are met. It should be meeting both of these criteria, otherwise you are not going to do it. In such a situation, we make use of something called AND, logical AND, right? Let's learn this one, how to use this one. After that we will do another one. Okay, when we come here, okay, right, now we will do a program here. I will explain another one. Easy, again we'll take X and Y. I like to print something like this. Therefore when we execute, after that our code will come, so we know which part we are working on. Let's take two variables again. X assign the value 10 and Y assign the value 5, same values that we took at the beginning. Let's make use of AND first. When you want to check AND, we need to write if. Let's write the first criteria. X is greater than 2, that is one criteria that you're writing, and this particular code that I am writing has no sense. That means it doesn't have any meaningful thing to do. You can use the word AND, it's a keyword, and then you again write Y is less than or equals to 10. Now this is a condition, right? This condition has two parts, one section and another section. This is one criteria that you want to check, this is another criteria that you want to check. Both of these criteria, if they are true, your final if condition, that part will be true, the final part will be true, you can do the work. In order to combine more than one criteria in an if condition, we can make use of the words and, or, those kind of words we can make use. Let's take a look at the example, and we will just write here print f, and we can say x is greater than 2 and less than or equal y. Okay, we have written a code like that. I haven't written an else part for this one. I'm just interested in just demonstrating only this part for you. That is why I just put the AND part. Now when we run this one, we should be able to see the output. Now you can see 10 is greater than 2 and less than or equal to 5. That's not true. Here I have to put we have to write the statement. Now if I run, it will be clear. See, 10 is greater than 2 and 5 is less than or equal to 5. That is true, otherwise it will be a problem, right? Okay, because we are less than or equal to 10 here, right? Now right, now no confusion. You can see 10 is greater than 10 is greater than 2 and 5 is less than or equal to 10. Okay, less than or equal to 10. That code is correct. So you can use AND to make sure both criteria are met. So you can make sure first switch is on as well as the second switch is on. So that is an end part. Let's take an O operator now. O part. I'll show you how it's done. I'll draw a different kind of a circuit now, right? Okay. Right. I just want to save some time, students. That's why I'm just using the paintbrush app. Okay. So let's put the batteries here this time. Now we'll put up two things here, A and B here. If these are switches, because this is a circuit, any of you can easily understand this is a circuit. What will happen is, if you close the switch A, if you close the switch, I'll put it in a different color, easy for you to see. If I close the switch A here, then you can see electricity can flow from here and come here and go here, here, through this one it can come, and there you go, the circuit is complete. Right, circuit is complete. Even if you switch on one switch in the circuit, I'm just showing you, right? One criteria is enough to switch on this light. If you switch on this one is lighting up. And the other way, let's not switch on that, but switch on this one. Now you can see electricity can come over here through this one like that, come here, over here, through this switch, through the B switch you can go, and you can reach here, come over there, and come up here, and it can do the work, right? It can make the light glow, and it can reach the battery again, so the circuit is complete. Let's put both switches turned on. That is too good now, right? So either you can, electrons can flow through this one, as well as it can flow through this one, no problem. We have more than one condition true now. Even at least one is enough to switch on the light. At this time we have more than one, so we have both the conditions becoming true, A as well as B. Therefore the light will be switching on, right? That's the basic difference between AND and O. This is O, logical O. At least one condition need to be true to get the final answer true. Now what happens is, in case both switches are not turned on, in that case the final answer will not be true. That will not be true. Light cannot be glowing, right? Let's do that exercise and we can conclude the class for today. O, we can write if x is greater than y, or x is less than y. Either of that part is true, is greater than y or less than y. We say print f x so it is either greater than or it is less than. And if I run this one, you can see I will put another one here. This time I'll type dashes so that you will easily see. So you can see after the dashes the output comes 10 is greater than or equal to 5. So it's not correct. It's not equal to 5, right? 10 is greater than 10 is greater than or equal to 5. Then we have to write O is right. So in that case, now see the output. 10 is greater than or equal to 5 or 10 is less than 5. 10 is 10 is less than 5 part is not true. See, this part is not true, but x is greater than or equal to y part is true. That is why this particular output is coming on the screen. This condition as well as both of these conditions are not true. Only one part is true. Therefore, the final answer becomes true. Okay, now in this part of the video, let's take a look at the membership operators, right? The membership operators means we can use certain words. Okay, we can use certain words along with the if condition, and we can find out answers. This will mainly work with lists. We have already learnt about lists, so we will do them, right? To make the video more easy to read and understand for you, I'm going to make use of comments here. So this is what we are learning is membership operators. Okay, so we're going to use the words in as well as not in. It's pretty straightforward, it's easy to understand. What this basically does is, okay, right, membership operators are used to test if a sequence is presented in an object. I'll show you that. First, let's see how to make use of in, right? When you make use of in, now let's type x, assign the value 3. We have already taken x above here. We have given different values. Doesn't matter, I'm taking the variable x again and I'm giving a new value which is 3. And let's create a numbers list. We all learned how to create a list. Okay, right, then we type, sorry, keep on adding. So to make it simple, I'll type right. So we have 1 2 3 4. Then we're going to write if x, we just type x represent the value 3 and we say in numbers, and you can check like that. You can use the word directly in. That means it's going to check whether in this particular list is this particular value is available. Then if it is available, it will directly give you the value true, and we can say yes, otherwise we can say no. In that case, we'll say print, we'll say right, we can put that. I will keep this one copied so I can save some time, and I can go to the next line and I can type else, right? Else I can directly type if otherwise. Okay, we can just type that also. Now in this case it will either print 3 is in numbers or 3 is not in numbers. That's what it's going to tell. Now if you take a look at this here, numbers is a list. You can see it's an integer type of a list. In this list, whether it is available or not, we can find out now. Now I'm going to run this program and you will see the output. The last part you can see 3 is in numbers, because you can see here 3 is available. Let's change this number to something else. Let's change that to 14. Now the value of x is 14. Now when we type if 14 in numbers, in this particular list 14 is not available, so it will display this value and says 14 is not in numbers, right? The note that I'm going to give you, PDF one, will not have the else part. In the coding I'm doing the else part for you and doing it and showing you. So the word that we are learning is known as membership operators. We just use the word in. So you can simply use the word in and you can give a list of things. For example, if it is a list, and you can check whether give a value here and use the word in. Suppose if the value is available in the list, it will give you the value true and it can have this one printed. Otherwise you can have this one printed. It depends whether the value is there or not. We will again change this to something true, right? Let's change that back to 3. Let's run once more and see. There we go, it displays the value again, right? There's another one. Let's do that part. Okay, so that is a divider I'm adding, so we can see which part we are doing, right? Let's try not in, right? So let's try not in part. When you want to do that, you code like this: if x not in numbers, right? In this case we have given 3, so it is available, therefore I'm taking x again. I'll take a value like x5 here, then it's easy for us to test. X is set to 5, x, so not in. If x means 5 not in numbers. Now if you take a look at the numbers list, you can see 5 is available. Actually this is true. Well, in that case I'm going to print a value. I'm going to say right, we'll see whether this is going to work. Right, now when I run this one, you're not going to get the answer for this one, you're not going to get this one, you are not going to get it. Last part you didn't get that, only this line is printed, you didn't get this output. The reason is we say x is x not in numbers, because 5 is available, it won't come. If I type 50, then it will work. 50 is not in numbers, yes, that is true. Now this is true. Now it will work. Did you notice that 50 is not in numbers? That is, so you can use in as well as not in these membership operators. Okay, there's a last one that we will learn, that one also, that is called identity operators. Let's do that part. Identity operator. I will add the notes to save the time. so you have it. Last week I broke that to 80 characters, that is why it is coming to this line anyways automatically. If it's confusing, then I'll break it here. No issues now, right? If you read the content, you will see compare the objects, not if they are equal, but if they are actually the same object with the same memory location. This is, you might use this one very rarely, but anyway, learn this one. Okay, I'll put a print command anyways. This time I'll put some star marks. Let's take x and y. As you can see, both x and y both are having the same value. So I'm going to use the word first of all is. Identity operators I forgot to put. What are they? You can use is, comma, is not. So first we'll check whether it is. If x is y, this will say print. That will become an error. I need to format that, then only it will be printing. You can see this is not becoming true, right? X is y, it's not becoming true because the memory these are two different though the values are same, they are two variables, they are in different two memory locations. X will be in one place, y will be in another place. So that is why even though the values are same, they are not the same variables. Okay, let's try the other one. Renujan, can you off the mic please? Right, we'll try the same thing again, but we'll take again x and y different values. X is 10, y is 5. Let's try is not. Right, we say if x is not y, print x is right, so it prints the value true here. Okay, x is right. The thing is, we can make it printed like this, right? It comes like that, and better we can put it this way. And if you put it like that, that will show you the value, right? X is not y, right? So it will compare the objects, not if they are equal, but if they are actually the same object. So that is what they do. So whether both are the same objects, because they are not going to share the memory locations, that is why it is coming like that. Anyways, alright, so that's the basic part that we learnt. For the conditional part, which is a very important lesson when you are preparing and doing more complex programs, it will be very useful. After I finish teaching you the loops, I will do some practical questions with you and show you some examples where you can make use of if conditions, which we learned earlier as well. Right, so let's conclude that lesson for now, and we will start the next part.